Now, the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee is arguably the most important ad hoc body set up by the current administration. The committee is saddled with the important responsibility of reforming the country's fiscal and tax policies. Now, everyone, especially the business community, is waiting for the committee to transmit its final documents to the National Assembly so that the legislative process on some of the reforms now it has proposed will become law. And talking about those reforms now, some that actually do not require legislation have gone into operation, but quite a number of them will surely need to be legislated into existence. Now, the committee has hinted of plans to revolutionize Nigeria's tax system, exempting about 95% of the informal sector from all taxes. The move is aimed at reducing the burden of multiple taxation on small businesses and low-income individuals. Now, the committee chair, Taiwo Oyedele, says part of the committee's advocacy was exemption for withholding taxes for small businesses within the range of 50 million naira annually, arguing that this category of businesses will lack the capacity to comply. The committee has also proposed a tax overhaul, streamlining taxes into 8 categories. The proposed list of harmonized taxes and levies include income tax, property tax, value-added tax, customs duties, excise tax, stamp duty, special levy, and harmonized levy. The committee has urged the federal government to adopt an exchange rate of 800 naira per dollar for customs import duty to allow for adequate planning by businesses. Let's discuss all of this now and some more with the chair of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee, Taiwo Oyedele, who now joins us from another part of Lagos. Mr. Oyedele, thank you very much for joining us on the program, and thank you for your time. Let me start by asking you about those tax exemptions you're talking about now. 90% of small businesses, anyway, the informal sector now to be exempted from taxes. Could you expatiate on that? What exactly is your committee looking at?
Yeah, thank you very much. So we have various data about the size and number of the informal sector, which is really, to be honest, you're talking about nano, micro, small businesses in the region of 30, sometimes 40 million. If you take the conservative number of 30 million, the approach we have adopted as a country to date has been to try and go after every single person in that 30-40 million, up to the people who are hawking pure water, as we call them. The Market Trader Association said to us that those who are selling pure water have to pay like 6 to 7 taxes every single day. They call them stickers. And you're going to ask yourself, is there any country where they have been very successful with their tax system by chasing everyone? The answer is no. We can't find anyone like that. And you cannot become wealthy by taxing poverty. So we did our analysis and we came to the conclusion that the percentage of our, in quotes, informal sector that you can actually tax who have the ability to pay and the ability to comply is between 3 to 5%. So on that basis, we believe that we can be able to get enough data and intelligence to identify the bottom 95% and then legitimately exempt them from all tax obligations, whether it is companies' income tax if they are registered as a company, or even from PAYE on the amount they pay to their staff, or VAT on their goods and services, as well as now withholding tax on whatever payments they need to make. The idea being, we want to support this very important segment of our economy to be able to grow. They contribute a lot to our employment, to our GDP, but they struggle. Many of them cannot even survive 3-4 years, so they set up those businesses and they also go under. And in large part, tax is accountable for many of those reasons. So that is the reason for our proposal. And the good thing is, for the withholding tax regulation, it has now been signed by the minister. So this is not something that by law needs to go to the National Assembly. So by law, the law empowers the finance minister to sign the regulation, and that's what we have done. Currently, the threshold for exemption is 25 million. So once that has been published, the 25 million would apply. But in our proposal, this one needs to go to the National Assembly. We are proposing that that goes up to 50 million.
Okay. Now let me ask you this, because some people would argue that this category of persons now, or businesses that you identify, the informal sector now to be specific, that look, the bulk of those who operate in that sector do not pay tax anyway. The majority of them do not pay tax. So what is new here that your committee is introducing?
Yeah, so they actually pay taxes. They pay a lot of taxes. In fact, disproportionately more than the formal sector and the large businesses. A lot of studies have been conducted. So they have formal taxes that they pay, mostly to local government. They have a lot of taxes they pay to non-state actors. And they also have, the ones that are not supported by legislation, and people just extort them on one part. On the other hand, you also have these people having to cater for what government should normally do, which will qualify as implicit taxes. So for starters, we are trying to address the formal taxes that they pay. Those are over 20 today, officially. Unofficially, you can keep counting. So they actually pay. You need to speak to them, and you see, and they have received. This is not just them making it up. One of the analyses we did was to say, give us the taxes you pay and the evidence that you pay those taxes. Like I told you, the people who are selling pure water, water in sachet, are doing 7 stickers every single day. They have those stickers to show, right? So indeed, they are paying taxes, and we think that the burden of tax should not fall on those vulnerable segment of our population.
But the question then is, how do you stop this? Because most of the taxes they pay actually, doesn't go to the government anyways. Sometimes they are just taxes imposed by touts, and some of these taxes the government is not aware of.
So maybe government is aware of them. Like I said, there are 3 dimensions to the taxes that they pay. Number 1 is the formal taxes that are legislated. So there is a law called Approved Levies and Taxes, collectible by federal government, state government, and local government. So today you find haulage. So that's when you're moving things from one location to another. You find something like shop and kiosk levy. So you see people collecting that in the market. You see something like produce tax. So you see something like adverts. So we've spoken to small business owners who just put small banner in front of their shop, and then they were asked to pay in levy. So they actually, as of today, taxes that are legislated and are being collected from these small businesses. Those are the ones we want to start with, because that's easier to regulate. So once you're done with that, we then move on to the ones that are being collected by non-state actors. That process is still ongoing, because as much as we can say that it's not government collecting it, but the reality is government is looking away. So if government does not want those taxes to be collected, those taxes will not be collected. It's a country where there is rule of law. So we know that engagement needs more than just passing a law or signing a regulation. So our approach to that is more robust, and the process is still ongoing. So the last part of it is the implicit taxes that they pay, because they then have to provide sanitation for themselves. They contribute to fix the road, sometimes to cover the roof of the primary school where their kids go to school. Those ones are the reasons why, as part of our reform effort, we have a new national fiscal policy document. I'll say draft because it hasn't been signed yet. That is also speaking to how those resources from taxes and other sources of government are applied in a way that benefits more the people who are vulnerable than the rest of us who are better able to cater for ourselves.